We all live, elevate, but die alone. Oscar Wilde said, "The middle-aged are mortgaged to life. Everyone is born a king, but most people die in exile." But to be alone is not to be completely without company for anyone. This blog is dedicated to those geeks out there who have grown to learn loneliness, but to understand how intellectualism can fill that void. Most importantly, the sort of geek that enjoys science fiction or classic fiction and the great in intellectual properties of the last 3,000 years. Really, they need to focus. I mean, like, it's good to. I know how good it is to focus on that sort of thing. I wanted to reach out doing this to all nerds of all denominations, as we're all great chaps, conservatives or liberals, green or reform in nature. My hope is that lively and civil debates can be had. Just chuck something in the comments there, or get in touch with me via my email address or something like that. We need to have these civil debates, not just have opinions and cast them out there and ignore anyone else. That's just like living in a shoebox or an echo chamber, as it might be described today. All democratic in nature, or populist if you prefer. I can't stand the word populist personally, particularly disabled geeks, as that's what I am. Now, I can understand why you might see something different in there. Disabilities is not a thing which is like you can see always obviously see, but that's the major part of my personal history. Okay. When I was born, right? Okay. I had epilepsy, autism, dyspraxia and learning difficulties, all of the above. Now in my teens the learning difficulties were diagnosed as dyslexia. In my 30s the epilepsy was later diagnosed as Taylor's cortical dysplasia. That was the time at which I had my operation. You see, look, here, like, here's, it's like, I don't know, with this side of this, I can never tell with cameras, if this side of this, but there's the massive dent in my head, that's where the operation took place. Now, in my 50s, the autism was diagnosed as level 1 Asperger's. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not very good at I'm sorry, I'm not very good at opening stuff like this, probably because of the autism, I don't know, but I tend to keep things bottled up. The dyspraxia was as a result of taking a lot of medication from an early age, I think. When I was very young, I would have up 8 seizures a day. Gradually it decreased as I got older, but then it got worse again in my teens. It's been an up and down roller coaster. Eventually, after I went into a coma at 19, it started to be regular. I was only having 1 a day normally, that point anyway. After my brain op in 2011, I started to have fits only at night. Now, today, I seem to be down to about 1 a month. It was I can't even drive. It was the Asperger that really set me on this path, although that bleeds into what I was saying about the kind of loneliness that leads into geekdom, the road to geekdom. I suppose the one lone blogger isn't just an identification I have, attached to myself. It's a summary of all those out there, and I know there are loads, who have similar problems, and worse. When I was a support worker, I saw so much worse than me. Although I remember thinking to myself that if they weren't indoctrinated from early age, though, that they were institutionalized by attitudes of organisations of that generation. That's what I'm trying to fight again, and trying to understand, and trying to get other people to understand. They don't need to be institutionalized. They don't need to be pinned down by people. They don't need to be all those people out there with like a cognitive sense of who they are and what they like, historically speaking, and other things as well. I mean, you've got to. It's all about learning stuff and breaking out from who you institutionalized to be. Institutionalized by other organisations like care support agencies out there. Now, with all good intentions, and all good intentions they have, they do things by the book, and they pin people down, and they don't understand people, and they pin them down into a structure which is it doesn't let them be anything other than what they want them to be. That's how I felt when I was a sport book. That's why I got out. Now, they wouldn't feel so ostracised by society and then turn to geekdom, fandom, considering it their own territory and ultimately their own little world. The problem is, because of such organisational and social institutionalisation, no one takes us seriously. The intellectual potential that develops in all of us a lot of the time is wasted, and a lot of people like us feel alone. This blog is trying to fight that. I'm trying to get out there, and I'm trying to tell people that they are more than the sum of their parts, so to speak. That's more than the sum of their parts. Look, listen, our opinions ignored. It was the start. That was the starting point with this channel, to let you all know that you're not. And to take a light-hearted and comical look through cultural fiction and popular fiction and comedy, the historical issues, historical reflection we're all surrounded with, as well as reviews from classic television and film, although I'm not entirely certain upon that yet. We'll just have to see. Reviews aren't really my thing, but what I do want to say is the historical reflections do bend off popular fiction and classic fiction. I want people I connect with to feel comfortable, okay? I want them to feel that this is their space, or no, that's a trite sort of postmodernistic phrase. This is a safe space. What the fuck, man? We want to feel that the One Lone Blogger, is a place where you can reflect. Place where you can be, a place where perhaps, if I'm very lucky, you might want to talk to me. You might feel I'm disgusting, but hopefully you'll want to talk to me. I don't know, but we can only see, can't we? Give us a good clicking.